talk about it to open up the show. Bob Williams, our good friend from Williams Law, is actually in studio with us a little bit early. We'll talk to him about DUIs in the from former NFL quarterbacks, local MMA fighters going to jail, as well as the House settlement just making less and less sense as lawsuits get lost and lost by the College Sports Commission day in and day out. Millard West football head coach David McKinney is going to join us in the studio as well. He's bringing 3 of his players with him at 6:30. We'll talk to the Wildcats and preview their season at 6:30. We'll find out what's trending on social media. Some sad news in Husker world today. We'll get to that at 6:45. We'll buy or sell on several different topics. How was Dan's time at the backpack drive today? We'll find that out at 7 o'clock as well. At 7:15, something or nothing. A lot of different topics that are getting some smoke these days. Draymond Green has some thoughts on why LeBron didn't go to the Warriors. We'll unpack that at 7:15. At 6:30, Curtis Larson, the head football coach at Plattsmouth, will be in studio with his Blue Devils. And as always, we'll wrap up the show with our closing arguments of the evening. Today was Oregon and Ohio State Day. Let's call it what it is. That's essentially what it led up to. But maybe the most intriguing guy in the Big Ten spoke today as well. In New UCLA's
Dylan Raiola was there?
No, Bob Chesney, who's way more interesting than Dylan Raiola maybe ever was. But the comparisons to Curt Cignetti are just kind of feel inevitable because of where he came from. And let's call it what it is, the success that he's been able to have at every level he's been at. We'll talk about his impact at UCLA. But before we get to him, we got to get to the 2 big hitters in the room. And it was Ohio State and it was Oregon. And as I mentioned, Dan Lanning and Ryan Day spoke today. But Ryan Day feels like he's in a gotta-win situation. And for all intents purposes, it kind of feels like Oregon should be the team that should have to win this season of these 2. Now, Ryan Day is a victim of his own success up until this point. But it's also a little bit to do with the fact that Ohio State's been there before. And it kind of feels like I know Dan Lanning brought it up today and said we're in a national championship or bust discussion with this team because of Dante Moore coming back, because of who they have coming back on defense, the way they've been able to recruit year in and year out. But anybody else think that Dan Lanning is going to get fired if Oregon doesn't win a national championship this year? Because I don't. If Ryan Day doesn't sniff the national championship this season, he may be on the hot seat in Columbus, which is absolutely asinine to me. But the fact of the matter is that has been the bar set by Ohio State because they've done it before. And it doesn't feel like Oregon, despite the way they recruit, despite the money they put into it, despite the head coach they've had, despite the conference success and the success they've had in the regular season, in the Big Ten and the playoff, it doesn't ever feel like they've been in a national championship or bust situation because they've never done it before. And it's interesting to talk about the pressure of these 2 teams because, yes, you do return Julian Say into Columbus. Yes, you do have Jeremiah Smith, who's probably the best football player in all of college football. Yes, that defense probably takes a step forward this year under Ryan Day. But the difference is the sidelines, right? Like there's always been that, well, Ryan Day has done a really good job, but how much is it Brian Hartline? He was a Buckeye, and he's the hot young name in college football. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That has been a realistic conversation that's out there.
All 3 apply to that statement, by the way.
But now you have a situation where you're bringing in a former NFL football coach to call your offense, and Arthur Smith, who a lot of people feel like he put Kyle Pitts on a milk carton for his time in Atlanta, but you don't have that constant that has been there under Ryan Day. And Dan, you and I have talked about this. How, yes, did Ryan Day absolutely start on third base when he got to the NFL, or when he got to Ohio State? Excuse me. Yes, but now that Brian Hartline, who's always been that kind of constant on the sideline, listen, I think Ryan Day is going to be fine. I think Ohio State's got the best roster in football. They're my pick to win the national championship before the season starts. But with that being said, it's not like it's just Ohio State and Michigan in this version of the Big Ten. You have Oregon. You have the defending national champion in Indiana. And I know a lot of people don't feel like they're going to be ready to be up to snuff with Ohio State, but I think Michigan's going to be vastly improved under Kyle Whittingham. This team in Ohio State has to go to Austin, Texas in week 2. They've got to go to Kinnick Stadium in kind of a trap game situation where they play Iowa and then they play Maryland, and then they have to go at Indiana, at USC. They have to finish at Nebraska and home against the aforementioned Wolverines. the path to the college football playoff, despite having the most talented roster across the board, is still not an easy one. Now, the difference is this group of coaches, this group of players has been there, has won on the biggest stage, and has done it recently to where walking in to Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas, walking in to Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, walking in to Bloomington, Indiana, walking into the Coliseum at USC, they're going to be battle tested like no other. If Ohio State finds a way to get to double-digit wins this season with this schedule, they're an automatic bid for the college football playoff. This may be one of those teams that if they find a way to go 9-3, they're probably still going to make it in because of the murderer's row that they had to face. Specifically, if those 3 losses come to those big 3 teams I mentioned and none of the other ones. By the way, they also have to host Oregon. They've got the who's who, not only of the Big Ten this year. I mean, I guess they do dodge Penn State to some degree. You could say what you want about Matt Campbell and that team this year. But they have to play Oregon. They have to play Indiana. They have to go to USC. They've got to go to Austin, Texas. They've got to go to Bloomington. And they've still got to play Nebraska and Michigan.
Well, and so you brought up...
Let me finish my thought.
Go ahead.
Because the other side of that is the Oregon of it all. Oregon, who returns Dante Moore, who a lot of people felt like should have been the number 1 overall draft pick last year, will be the number 1 overall draft pick this year, almost has the exact opposite effect from this schedule. Yes, they've got to go to USC. They play UCLA, Nebraska, Illinois, Northwestern, Michigan, Michigan State, Washington, and Ohio State on the schedule. No Indiana, no Penn State. The real cross country games they play are the furthest furthest east they have to go. They have to go to Ohio State. That is the furthest east they have to go. They don't have to go to anywhere on the East Coast. Their away games are at Oklahoma State, which I think is going to be a little more interesting than people want to talk about. I think it's at USC, at Illinois, and Columbus, and at Michigan State. It'll be interesting to see how Pat Fitzgerald has things going in East Lansing by that time. But the talk about this has been, well, Ohio State has to win a national championship. They should be in a national championship contention every year because the money they spend, because who their head coach is, and if Ryan Day can't do it, we got to find somebody else. He's just piggybacking off Urban Meyer's success and. With Dan Lanning, it's like, yeah, Oregon should be able to compete for a national championship. And like, right, wrong, or indifferent, that is because of the success that Ohio State has had and the lack of winning championship success that Oregon has had. I wonder if there would ever be a time where if Dan Lanning is able to continue the success he's had, crank out multiple double-digit win seasons, constantly not play down to the competition, find his way to somewhere in the top 4 in the Big Ten, and make the college football playoff on a regular basis, I don't know if his seat would ever get hot. Which begs the question, is Oregon the best college football job in the country?
If you can win 9 games every year, yes. Because you talked about the pressure that's on Dan Lanning, the pressure that's on both of these coaches, but specifically Dan Lanning. The pressure on him is just, well, we think you should be able to win with what you've already constructed and with the pieces that you were able to bring in through the portal. And unfortunately or fortunately for Dan Lanning, I think that pressure is manufactured not so much by him, but by the university. They want to post on social media so often how youthful and engaging and into the game of football that their head coach is. And it seems like it's on a constant rotation. Every time Oregon has a big game that they're supposed to win, we get the fiery Dan Lanning halftime speech, or we get the fiery pregame speech, and then obviously the great social media people up at Oregon go in and they do their work and they, put out the game highlights in the way that they're supposed to. But it seems like they don't really know how to react to Dan Lanning and
I agree with that.
How to react to how good they have been. And I don't think that Oregon knows exactly where their thumb should go on the scale for what they should be expecting out of Dan Lanning this year and every other year, it seems, at this point.
Which is my point, is that precedence has never been set by anybody before him. Maybe Chip Kelly, but even Chip Kelly was like, we don't understand what this offense thing that he does is supposed to be. But there's so much pressure on Ryan Day, it feels like, this season, because specifically the way they lost to Miami in the college football playoff a year ago and losing the Big Ten championship game. It doesn't feel like any of that pressure externally is on Ryan Day, and they didn't even make the Big Ten championship game a year ago. And by the way, Ryan Day has 5 college football playoff appearances and a national championship ring. Dan Lanning hasn't been in Eugene as long, but Ryan Day and Ohio State have been to the college football playoffs 5 times. Dan Lanning has only been in Eugene for 4 seasons.
Well, and that's the problem with Ryan Day right now, is he's a victim of his own success at this point.
Which is insane, right?
Which his success is extremely successful. And if you were to just blindly say to, I think, any college football program in the country, over the last 5 years, you are going to have 5 college football playoff appearances. You're going to have a national championship win in there. Would you take that? And I think everyone's throwing their hand up and going, yes, pick me, please.
Every single one of them.
Please, it would be great. But he did it when he won his national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not to downgrade that national championship. We saw that team that he had to win that championship with.
Sure.
Arguably, the team that's going to be there this year is going to be light years better.
I don't know if I agree with that.
On the offensive side of the ball, I would say so.
Okay.
On the defensive
because
side
Jeremiah
of the ball,
Smith?
maybe. Because of Jeremiah Smith, because of Julian Sayin. I think you can pencil in Julian Sayin for, I'm going to say, week 5 or week 6. He's going to all of a sudden pop out of the Heisman voter, conversation at some point in time.
Man. That 24 team had Quinshon Judkins, Trayvon Henderson, and a freshman Jeremiah Smith. I don't know.
What have those guys done since, besides get drafted to the NFL and be really, really, really?
I was like, they've done really well for themselves, actually. And I'll hear the debate that it's Will Howard versus Julian Sayin. I'll hear that, but it's just astonishing to me that this guy in Ryan Day has never won fewer than 11 games outside of the COVID season, which it was impossible to do. It feels like he's coaching for his job every single season. And it's a lot of it is the most of it is he piggybacked off Urban Meyer, and we've never seen him outside from a head coaching standpoint outside of Ohio State system. But he hasn't failed, and I don't think that gets talked about enough. You know what else doesn't get talked about enough? Legal issues in sports. Bob Williams with Williams Law is going to join us on the other side of the break. If you missed this segment, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com. Tonight it was brought to you by our friends at Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. We've been telling you for a while that you're not going to find a better golf polo experience buying it from our friends at Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear, centrally located on 78th and Dodge. But you know what you're going to get now? You're going to get a discount. That's right. Their summer clearance is in full effect. Suits, sport coats, dress pants, 20 to 75% off. New Husker gear, polos with the big red N on it. Polos, quarter zips, hoodies, all from Peter Millar and Johnny O are on summer clearance. Stop by Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. They've been dressing men in the Omaha area for over 50 years. Bob Williams of Williams Lodge talks Tony Romo being drunk when we come back on 1620 The Zone.
Criminal, civil, personal. If you or a loved one is facing a lawsuit, let Williams Law represent you and your family today. With more than 20 years litigation experience in Nebraska, Williams Law will defend you with the dedication you deserve. If you're facing a DUI or if your son or daughter has been accused of a crime, Williams Law is here for you. Call 402-522-6317 to get a free, no obligation consultation and to get the representation you deserve today.
Eric Cargill's family has worked the same land for 5 generations.
If a farmer or rancher gets sick, that's downtime in harvest or planting. Animals don't care if you get sick. You know, I have type 1 diabetes. What if my blood sugar crashes and I'm out in the middle, I'm 30 miles from anywhere?
That changed when nurse practitioner John Hodges opened Rawls Family Medicine.
If our clinic were not here, some of our patients would have to drive up to 90 miles to see a healthcare provider.
Healthcare is not a privilege, it's a right for everyone.
I just want to help as many people in the community as I can.
John Hodges keeps us going, all of us, and that's kept our farm and ranch alive, and hopefully into 6 and 7 generations.
How has a nurse impacted your life? Share your story at thepowerofnurses.org.
If life is a game to be won, then every child deserves to play on a level field to unlock their full potential and thrive. Children International is empowering young people in poverty on their journey. We're working alongside partners and communities in 10 countries to give children and youth the tools, the training, and the skills to build confidence, shape their futures, and win in life. This journey of hope begins in the early days of development and continues through all stages of growth and into employment. We invest in children and youth so they can achieve their goals. And it's a game changer for children, their families, and their entire communities. This is how, together, we can help end poverty for good. Join the journey at children.org today.
.621 on a Wednesday night here at 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. Keep up to date on all the championship action on Bellevue's campus this fall by downloading the BU Bruins app to your smartphone tonight. Bob Williams Law joins us as he does most Wednesday nights to talk about all things facing legal problems in sports. And today's our main topic is not necessarily sports, but sports announcers / former quarterbacks. Tony Romo, former Dallas Cowboys quarterback, was arrested in Milwaukee last night on DUI charges. 6:15, he was stopped around Interstate 43 last night. A Milwaukee sheriff's deputy alleged that Romo used the highway distress lane to pass vehicles during rush hour traffic. There's a video. There's obviously body cam footage now.
Yep.
They smelled alcohol. I don't think they necessarily needed to by Tony Romo's spirits. He looked very happy. I will say that. But he said that he had 0 drinks, clearly not the case, and he just left a Wisconsin golf charity event at a golf course, and asked if he was basically being targeted because they saw him leaving a golf course. You've obviously defended folks who have been charged with DUIs in the past. Is the place that people are leaving ever taken into consideration when charges like these come about?
Well, thanks for having me in, guys. That's a great question. I get asked versions of that question nearly weekly. And the answer, there's really 2 different answers. It's what is the purpose of where they're at as far as where law enforcement's at and why they're there behind closed doors. And then there's what's the stated purpose above board or in court, or what's the probable cause for the stop of the vehicle. Now, if it can be shown that it's a super targeted enforcement, and it's not uncommon, law enforcement for years, the Green Onion, I don't know how many people got arrested leaving the Green Onion over the last 30 years, but it's been more than a few. Cops used to sit on both sides of 114th and Dodge for a number of years because you're more likely than not to see somebody committing some type of traffic infraction. Now, law enforcement does need independent probable cause and then further reasonable articulable suspicion that a crime has been committed on top of that once a person's pulled over. But initially, any type of traffic infraction is enough to trigger that first encounter with law enforcement. And then as if you've got some mortar and some bricks, they're building their case against the person from a law enforcement perspective. What are the next objective signs where the person makes admissions to drinking, whether they smell alcohol coming or emanating from the person, or whether there are other objective signs of intoxication, such as bloodshot, watery eyes, slurred speech, etc.
He also refused the breathalyzer test, which
big no nowadays.
It's essentially an admission of guilt.
Yes,
on its face, correct?
In most jurisdictions, including Nebraska, the laws have been essentially unified from a refusal to a actual DUI charge, and they're what are called cross-enhanceable, meaning you can stack a refusal on top of a DUI to make a higher level enhanced offense at a later date if you have multiple convictions. And so there were adages that you would maybe convey to clients 15 years ago, maybe before 2011, when the laws significantly changed, where perhaps a refusal, if you've already had one DUI, may be the way to go. Anymore with the implied consent laws that we have in every state in America, basically when you sign your driver's license, you're signing an agreement to submit to a test of your blood, breath, or urine upon the request of law enforcement in furtherance of any type of DUI investigation. And if you don't do that, and there was a sufficient reason for the stop of the vehicle, then you're basically slamming the door shut on any opposition in fighting that charge.
They also found a bottle of it had a lid on it, but a bottle of alcohol in his passenger seat.
Sure.
Now, if somebody were to be pulled over and of suspicion of drunk driving, is there anything that would implicate or give probable cause for a search for the rest of the vehicle based on a bottle or some form of alcohol sitting in that passenger seat?
Absolutely. There's what's called the plain view doctrine, meaning that if law enforcement can, from a standard outside the driver door view, see, first of all, any contraband in the vehicle, they can search the vehicle pursuant to seeing that contraband. And obviously, once an arrest is made, they can do a search incident to arrest to secure the vehicle. So that does not necessarily mean they can get inside the trunk, but they can search well within the wingspan of the driver position and into the back seat. So if there's any contraband, which is not uncommon, marijuana, stolen items, weapons, that type of thing. If you're arrested and detained for a valid reason and it's a search incident to arrest, then absolutely. Now, if you're asking me, hey, I got pulled over for a speeding ticket and they're handing me over the ticket and they ask you to search the car without probable cause, do you say no? They should not lawfully be able to search the car unless they see something in their eyesight that's contraband in addition to the purpose they originally stopped the car.
Criminal, civil, personal, we'll catch up with Bob Williams of Williams Law. And if you've been living under a rock and don't have any kind of social media, Tony Romo, the former Dallas Cowboys quarterback / CBS announcer, was cited for a DUI last night. And he didn't perform well in the field sobriety tests, and he used the old adage, oh, it's my surgeries. Oh, it's
Yep, sure.
it's life of playing in the NFL and yada, yada, yada. Is there any form of, I don't know if disability is the right word, but
Sure.
like physical limitations to where you can refuse the field sobriety test for that reason?
So honestly, at least in Nebraska, and I think this applies nationwide from a Fourth Amendment and constitutional under your state constitution, generally in the federal constitution, really the only things you need to do for law enforcement beyond stop the vehicle is provide proof of your identification, provide your date of birth. If you're operating a vehicle, you're required to provide proof of insurance and registration of that vehicle. Beyond that, you can use the phrase, I politely decline to do anything except for provide a breath test if it's in furtherance of a DUI. You can say, I'm politely declined to answer any further questions beyond what my name is and my providing you with that paperwork I just stated. And beyond that, no, really, you don't have to provide any additional information beyond that breath test
So
or participate in any type of field sobriety test. And very honestly, law enforcement does not need the PBT, preliminary breath test, necessarily in addition to the objective signs of impairment from field sobriety tests, but to have a very complete case, or again, as many bricks as possible, lay the foundation for a potential conviction. They usually do all of those things if they can.
So from a legal standpoint, why is it okay to reject a field sobriety test, but not to reject a breathalyzer test?
Well, because your protections only extend, or pardon me, your protections allow you to preclude law enforcement, and their rights from the law enforcement perspective only extend to allowing you to provide your breath test sample, or pardon me, requiring you to provide that breath test sample and your identification. Beyond that, Fourth Amendment laws of search and seizure, a well-established precedent to protect your and my Fourth Amendment. Beyond that, I can politely tell an officer on the street on an encounter, I'm not willing to provide you any information other than give you my name and identification. I'll politely sit here on the sidewalk. Same with the.
Maybe this is. I don't mean
it
this
doesn't
to
necessarily
sound
feel right, but
sure.
yeah,
I don't mean this to sound as crass as it may come off. But if that's the case, why is the field sobriety test even, or not the field, the field sobriety test even needed if the breathalyzer is kind of the end all be all?
Again, they want as many bricks as they can for
Sure.
purposes of prosecution. For example, when you have evidentiary tests that are scientifically calibrated, such as the preliminary breath test, and under Nebraska Title 177, there are parameters that require those be calibrated and tested, and the results be provided through by law enforcement to the prosecutor's offices to show that they're in compliance with Nebraska law. Let's say that a officer arrests a party, has a preliminary breath test that's over the legal limit, and let's say it comes back later on that device was not properly calibrated, then that part of the evidence may get thrown out for purposes of trial, but law enforcement may be able to lean on, well, he had showed 4 other forms of impairment through these other, walk and turn, one-legged stand, alphabet, the different other testing standards that were for legitimate furtherance of probable cause to effectuate an actual arrest. Because that breath test that you provide as a preliminary breath test, that's really only admissible for probable cause for the arrest. That value really does not mean much other than if it's positive for alcohol. The one that matters is the evidentiary breath test that's down at the police station, and 2 digits of the 3-digit value are admissible in court to show the level of intoxication.
To bring it back kind of more of a local field, local MMA fighter, Anthony Smith, was arrested yesterday after he and his wife were leaving a Gretna bar. He allegedly had threatened to kill her if she didn't return home with him or get in his vehicle. He's been charged with attempt to the first degree of domestic assault, terroristic threats, and first degree imprisonment. I want to ask about the domestic part of it, because let's take the threat of killing her out of the equation. This is his wife. This is somebody that lives with him. This is obviously somebody that is in a domestic partnership with him. If the threat is not there, and I'm not trying to get anybody off, or I'm just trying to find the legal terms here. If the threat is not there, the charge of imprisonment and kidnapping could not have become prevalent in this case, correct?
No, I would not agree with that. I think
okay.
there could be objective facts and circumstances that if he merely held her and didn't espouse any verbiage from his mouth, didn't say anything, but you could, imagine yourself watching a movie, but hitting the mute button, right?
Yeah.
And you see a person getting, drug from point A to point B flailing what seems to be against their will and then being forced into a vehicle. Now, I'm not saying all these charges could be sustained in a court, but certainly there would be enough objective evidence for probable cause purpose to charge the person, and then they would obviously seek additional evidence, hopefully from for the prosecution side, hopefully from the witness being cooperative. But as we know, and you and I have discussed the last few weeks, that's not always the case with cooperative victim parties.
His bond was set at $500,000, which
Right.
he's posted and released. How often is that? Is that ever based off somebody's income, or is it always based off the charges?
It's based off of the totality of the circumstances,
Okay.
but really what statutorily speaking, what the judge consider is they look at, the person's prior record, whether or not that person lives in the state, and whether or not they will avail themselves, meaning show up for their court hearings, and to protect the public at large and the victim in the circumstances. So if his bond was $500,000, he presumably posted 10% of that. There's a 10% option in Nebraska, meaning he posted $50,000, which the court would keep 10% automatically whenever the case is disposed of. In addition to that, the court almost certainly ordered no contact with his wife and any other parties that are alleged victims of this. I'm guessing it was just his wife based off of what I've read online.
Correct.
And he would not be permitted to travel typically more than 10 miles outside of Douglas County, Nebraska, including prohibition traveling to Iowa unless there's a special condition put on that. And if the judge did impose a pretrial release clause, that means that this person, Mr. Smith, may also have conditions such as a GPS locator put on his ankle, or an alcohol monitor, a CAM, continuous alcohol monitor put on his ankle, or have other call-ins and check-ins for sobriety testing if alcohol was alleged to have been involved. They can be on a pretrial release program that would require all of those things, including random urine screens while a person's out on bond.
If you want great legal advice like that, stop over at williamslaw.com tonight. Get a free, no obligation legal consultation with Bob and his team. They'll sit you down, explain your rights, and get you ready for your big day in court. Check out williamslaw.com tonight. Bob, we appreciate it. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thanks, guys.
If you missed this segment, check it out on our radio replay page tonight. It was brought to you by our friends over at Marrow in Gretna. They've done it again. We've got a new favorite, number one at the top of the depth chart when it comes to one of the 4 great restaurants that support us here at After Hours for Taste Test Tuesday. Marrow gave us the short rib lasagna last night. I don't think Dan and I could have gotten enough of that stuff. We probably put on about 3 pounds just sharing it between the two of us. It was fantastic. Dan says he put on 4. If you want to maybe have a cheat day or don't really care about your girlish figure anymore, head over to Marrow out in Gretna. It's a great restaurant. The atmosphere keeps you coming back. The food is the reason you're not going to want to get up from the table. Stop by Marrow out in Gretna tonight. We're catching up with Coach McEnany and the Millard West Wildcats on the other side of the break. We come back at 16:20.
The real game changer in college athletics, it's coaches. And at Bellevue University, there is an experienced team of coaches who know you both as an athlete and as a person. Plus, there are student coach advisors who are there to provide individualized academic support every step of the way as you progress towards your degree. At Bellevue University, you're not just another athlete. You belong. We're for you and for college sports. Visit BUBruins.com.
Criminal, civil, personal. If you or a loved one is facing a lawsuit, let Williams Law represent you and your family today. With more than 20 years litigation experience in Nebraska, Williams Law will defend you with the dedication you deserve. If you're facing a DUI or if your son or daughter has been accused of a crime, Williams Law is here for you. Call 402-522-6317 to get a free, no obligation consultation and to get the representation you deserve today.
Find your next truck at Woodhouse Chevy. Explore our limited time offers available now. Lease the 2026 Chevy Silverado 1500 Custom Crew Cab 4x4 for $449 a month for 39 months, 10,000 miles per year. Or save up to $10,000 off MSRP on all retired courtesy 2026 Silverado 1500s. Woodhouse Chevy. Together, let's drive. With approved credit, retired courtesy loan, tax, title, license extra. First payment and $299 doc fee due at signing. Must trade a 2015 or newer vehicle. Must finance through dealer and based upon available rebates. Expires September 30th, 2026. See dealer for details.
.640 on a Wednesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. If you're looking for the ideal college experience this fall, head over to bellevue.edu, register for classes. No school on Friday. The majority of your classes can be done online and live sports right on campus. Check out bellevue.edu for more details today. I can't say for the first time, for the second time, we're welcoming Coach David McEnany, the head coach out at Millard West of the football program. He's brought Colton Williams, Blake Kosney, and Jonah Lux with him. Guys, we'll get to you in a minute, but Coach, I want to talk to you. We got a chance to talk to you about your first year last year coming over from Millard North, making the jump to Millard West. Hopefully none of the folks wearing blue held that against you too much. But you go 5-5 last year. You make the playoffs. What do you know today that you didn't know day one walking into this job a year ago?
Honestly, being a head coach of a football program is one of those things where you learn as you go. And without those mentors, like you can really struggle and find yourself. And so having like Fred Petito as that guy, that I can call at any time and just kind of talk things over has been a lifesaver. But as far as head coaching at Millard West, this year I can say that I actually know my guys.
Sure.
Like last summer, it was, hey, let's figure out who do we have, who's on the roster, depth chart. We got to figure it out through the summer, and really being able to fit scheme to players this year instead of trying to fit those players into a scheme that I thought they could do has been a lot of a different change for us for our focus and training.
You guys make the playoffs in year one. You go 500, as we just mentioned a minute ago. How does that success, obviously it's different year in year out for a lot of reasons you just talked about, but how does that success a year ago and that experience in a playoff game help this team?
Millard West has a huge tradition of making the playoffs.
Sure.
So there was a lot of like unspoken pressure of, hey, we got to keep this thing going. We got to make sure that we make the playoffs. And so last year that was really a big relief. This year, now that we've done it, we've tasted it, that's not the goal anymore. It's just make the playoffs, right? So you kind of raise the standard. We talked about the foundation of success and making sure that we meet our standards and goals, and that includes moving further than just make the playoffs.
Feels like coaches that come in here always say, oh, we're really young this year, or we got a ton of experience coming back. Yeah. Looking up and down this roster, it kind of feels like you have a healthy combination of experience, but also very talented underclassmen. Is it fair to make that assumption?
Absolutely. Last year, we, blessing and a curse, we had a lot of inexperienced starters. And so we had old inexperience, but we also had a lot of young inexperience. And so a lot of our sophomores were able to play a lot of football last year. And so those juniors stepping up really aren't young, right? They're young in class, but they're older and wiser on the field than most juniors are at this point in their career. And then the senior class has played a lot of football. We've got a lot of guys that have been 2-3 year starters for us, coming back and playing and kind of setting that tone. And so being able to build off that foundational success from last year to this year with this class, I've been really lucky to have the leadership that I have on this team.
You're 1 month away from kickoff against Lincoln Southeast. You've already mentioned you've done a ton of stuff during the summer. What does this team have to get better at from today until kickoff before you guys take on Lincoln?
The old cliche, every coach is going to say it. We just got to be more consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got to be efficient in what we do and make sure that we get rid of the silly mistakes, the things that we've got to take care of in the summer so that, this is Nebraska football. Like, everybody's good. Everybody's going to bring their best fight to you. You can't make little mistakes and little errors because that'll cost you a football game here.
When you guys have to play a team like Lincoln Southeast in game number 1, that game's at home, correct? Or you guys?
No, we're
head
at,
down. That's
yeah.
right. Any trouble with a long road trip like that in game number 1 for you guys?
We joke Omaha kids struggle on the bus. And so we really had that conversation last year going to Lincoln.
For anybody not watching on the stream, coach is staring at the players.
I'm looking at my guys here. No, last year our trip to Lincoln didn't turn out very well.
Sure.
And so that was a great learning experience for us and how to handle that preparation when you're not at home, when you're not, Millard Buell's a home away game.
Yeah,
it's not far. And so being able to travel a little further, that experience last year will pay off this year. But Lincoln Southeast is a great team.
I want to get to the players in a minute, but
yeah.
You just mentioned Buell Stadium.
Absolutely.
And it's one of the it's a cathedral of football in the state, right? How's that a benefit for this program? How's that a benefit for you specifically?
I love going to Buell. I love being able to drive down and literally just down the street, especially from Millard West.
Yeah.
Having that stadium with the renovations that they've done and the renovations that are
have they done new things
right?
To it?
Like the press box last
Yeah.
year, like everything is nice and new and shiny, and they've got big plans to continue that. And so we're really blessed that our district cares as much about sports as they do.
Well, let's talk to some of these players who need to be focused on that trip to Lincoln. Colton Williams is with us tonight too. Colton, you're considered one of the top prospects of the 2027 class, not just in football, but in baseball. Obviously, we're going to get to your future in that in a minute. But what does it mean for you to be recognized as one of those guys that could be a difference maker, not just in football, but in multiple sports as well?
Yeah, it's a blessing just because you work so hard for it, and you work to be recognized not only after your high school career to go play college somewhere, but it's a relief at the same time. But at the same time, you got to keep working, you got to keep getting better. But it's sit back and you can take a deep breath and be like, it's a good feeling to have when you're recognized for both. And it's just keep working, but it's a good feeling.
We always tell the coaches bring in who you want to bring in that best represents your program. And you're like we mentioned, you're going to play baseball. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But it seems like more often than not, they bring the multi-sport athletes in because they feel like those guys have the best work ethics. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. But was there ever a consideration because you're going to college to play baseball to maybe sit out your senior season for football?
It was definitely brought up. Mm-hmm. It was definitely brought up by people along the lines when you talk to people of like, hey, it's
throw them all under the bus. Who was no? Don't do
that. I'm not going to do that. But it was back and forth between all of that and figuring out. But at the end of the day, you don't go into a sport thinking about your injuries or I'm not going to be worried about getting injured. You're just going to go play. You're going to go have fun. It's going to be the same as last year, and you're going to work with what you get, and whatever happens, and it's going to be a roller coaster, and you got to ride the wave.
Well, before we talk about baseball, let's talk fall sports. Let's talk football. What do you feel like this defense needs to improve on the most before kickoff a month from now?
I think setting the tone. Last year, we came out a little bit flat, a little more than times, than I wanted. And so we can set the tone. But last year, not knocking the squad last year was pretty good. We were solid. So it's going to be a big shoes to fill, but I think we can fill those shoes, and we just got to come out with consistency and set the tone every time.
You're committed to Nebraska. You're going to go play for Will Bolt and play some baseball. Why was Nebraska the right fit for you?
It felt my option between them and K-State. It was a hard decision, but at the end of the day, I'm a big person on relationships when I'm going to go somewhere to play. And it's Coach Bolt and Coach Childress. And it was just those two were my biggest factors, and they were the relationship that I wanted, and the connection I built with them is just, it was different than any other one. So
mom and dad happy they don't have to drive down to Manhattan?
They are. It's easier drive, and I got some family moving up here to come watch some games now. So
what's
here?
Mom and dad's name is?
My dad's name is Ryan Williams, and then my mom's name is Alicia Williams.
Shout out to Ryan and Alicia. Hopefully
there you go.
Thanks for being here tonight, man.
Yes,
I appreciate it. Good luck this fall. Good luck this spring as well. Blake, go ahead and step up and grab the mic. Blake Kosny is with us as well. You play outside linebacker. You play tight end for this team. I don't know why. That just seems like either guys that play on both sides of the play, offensive line, defensive line, or their linebacker and tight end. Why is that such an easy transition from both sides?
It's just, you do a little bit of everything.
Sure.
At tight end, I block, catch, linebacker. I do a little bit of everything. I blitz, tackle, pass coverage, all that. So
I can't help but notice you said I block and I catch. You put block first. Is that where the emphasis is?
Most of the time, yeah.
You
take care of the simple things.
Well, linebacker or tight end, where do you need to improve the most?
I'd say linebacker, just because I got big shoes to fill. I feel like I have more than what I gave last year. So, you just want to get better at that.
You spent the summer not only working with Millard West, but you've hit the camp circuit as well, going to a couple junior days and hitting the camp circuit. How have you improved into a player because of those events?
I met a lot of great coaches that just gave me good insights and good things that I need to fix. And just, they pushed me pretty hard at those camps. So it was a fun experience.
You don't want to go play college baseball for some reason. So I'll ask, what's your life after high school going to look like?
I'm definitely focusing on playing college football.
Sure.
I've been in contact with a few D2 schools and NAIA, some stuff like that. So
what do you want to major in? Have you thought about
business?
That? Okay. Why?
Yep. My dad does business.
Okay.
So
you'd say I want to be rich. It's fine.
Yeah. That too. Yep.
Well, hey, good luck this fall, man. And good luck whenever you decide to make your decision, wherever you end up. But thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Jonah Good, step up and grab the mic. We're catching up with the Millard West football team here, and Jonah Lux is with us. Coach decided to bring 3 guys with him tonight, and I kind of have a feeling that Colton may have read through my questions because I was going to ask you this. Is it fair to say that the defense not only needs to set the tone for the defense, but for the entire team this year?
Yeah, I think so. We have a lot of experience on the defense, especially compared to the offense. So I think, we have a lot of dudes who can get it done, and we'll be successful.
This team, we talked about it with Coach a little bit, but this team had the chance to go play in a playoff game. For you specifically, how do you feel like that experience helps not only you, but this defense this year be more prepared?
It was definitely a different environment than being in Buell, and just that kind of elimination game feeling, how, it's win or go home.
Mm-hmm.
So in that extra week of practice, it really means a lot. I got to play for the seniors too.
Sure. Obviously, there's multifacets to the defense. We'll just dumb it down for the non-football folks out there. Is this defense going to be better against the run or better against the pass this season?
I think run. Our D-line's really sound.
Thanks for not copying out and saying both, by the way. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean
to yeah, our defense or our D-line's really sound, and our linebackers, we got some dogs. So, yeah.
They pay you to say that? Yeah. What does life after high school look like for you?
Football is definitely in the picture. I have an offer from Midland,
Sure.
so I've been keeping up with them a little bit. But yeah,
the dream school would be
UNO if I got the shot.
Okay, there you go. Coach Rule 402-951-1620. We got. Thanks for being here tonight, Jonah. We appreciate it. Coach, we'll go back over to you to wrap this up. We're catching up with David McEnany, the head football coach out at Millard West. How does this team not only go back to a state playoff this year, but also find a way to compete for a state championship?
One of the things that we actually had our leadership meeting this morning, and one of the things was together we hunt. And so making sure that you take day by day, no excuses, but you've got to trust the process. And so we talk a lot about championship goals, having championship habits. And so your day to day is what's really going to lead up. We try not to talk about games and wins and numbers and things like that. Like, we all have goals, obviously, to play in a state championship game.
Yeah.
Like, that's, if you don't, you're in the wrong sport.
Sure.
So making sure that you're focusing on the process to get there, that's what's been really important for us in this offseason.
Why don't you like any of your offensive guys? No, I'm just kidding.
I got two-way guys here.
Sure.
Two-way guys.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the success of year one. We love to talk to you after year two as well.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you missed any of the Wildcats segment tonight, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com. Tonight it was brought to you by Mad Hatter Auto Repair. Get your vehicle the royal treatment. Don't turn up the sound of my voice because your car is making a funny sound. Get it over to one of the two great locations at Mad Hatter Auto Repair tonight, either off 144th and 144th and Center, or over in Council Bluffs off Broadway. They're going to give you a 7-year, 77,000-mile warranty on any work they're doing on your vehicle. Check out Mad Hatter Auto Repair tonight. We'll be right back, finding out what's trending on social media right here on 1620 The Zone.
The weather's warming up, meaning ants, wasps, and termites are teaming up to invade your home. It's time to call in a better team. At Recon Pest Services, we stop the bugs before they take over. But our commitment doesn't stop at your front door. We care for your property like it's our own because our community is our family. We're dedicated to making Omaha better by supporting local youth sports, events, and community causes. Partner with a pest control company that truly cares. Visit reconpestservices.com today and stay protected all season long.
Are you ready for the game changer of the day? Bellevue University has a new state-of-the-art 72,000 square foot field house featuring premium courts, generous fan seating, top-tier locker rooms, dedicated athletic training, and a strength and conditioning space, plus a whole lot more. It's not just a venue, it's a home court advantage. We're for you and for college sports. Visit BUBruins.com.
Shopping for a vehicle shouldn't feel complicated. At Woodhouse Auto Family, our commitment to clear price is about more than the price you see. It's about creating a buying experience that's straightforward, transparent, and hassle-free from beginning to end. With a huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles, flexible financing, fair trade values, and trusted service after the sale, you'll see why so many drivers continue to choose Woodhouse. Woodhouse, clear price, clear choice, hassle-free, all the way to your driveway.
Put a bow in the first hour of the After Hours Lounge, brought to you by Bellevue University. If you're looking for the ideal college experience, head over to bellevue.edu and register for classes tonight. It's time for the social media soundbite where Dan Campion now has a clip for us. What do we got, Dan?
I do indeed. And I thank you. I will be perfectly honest. I had a very busy day today, and Jimmy alerted me to number one, Nebraska news that I didn't know about, but number two, and even more surprisingly that I didn't hear about it from the internet in general, or one Joey Colbert, who comes to my office and talks to me whenever there is Packers news as well, that didn't make it onto my desk. And unfortunately, my tone is off because it is very sad news. Let's listen.
You can cut it right. You can cut it right there. That's
Okay.
that's Husker legend Amon Green, who obviously played for Green Bay, and they go on to talk about why he wore number 34 when he came back to Green Bay the second time too. And I just we talked about this last week with Luke Kuechly, right? With his concussions and then choosing to get into TV and what's going to come from that. We cut it off a little bit early there, and I encourage everybody that gets a chance to go listen to this. Tyler Dunn is the guy who was doing the interview. Check him out at TYDUNNE on Twitter to find the whole podcast. It was a great listen. Good to hear from Amon as well. Just how upbeat and how positive he was about being able to attack it head on and being able to live after football and live with a diagnosis like this and what it means and what he's looking forward to, despite his diagnosis, and not letting it kind of define him. I thought it was really cool to have that he took such a positive approach to such horrible news.
Yeah. And I wonder, not to, make this about football as a whole, but it is about football as a whole in general right now. Parkinson's isn't generally something that you can get.
It's technically hereditary, isn't it?
It's only hereditary if someone in your family has had Parkinson's disease. And it's not one of those where it's like, oh, my great grandfather had Parkinson's, so I'm at risk for Parkinson's. It's like my great grandfather, his uncle, my brother, my dad, my sister, my aunt, like a lot of people in your family have to be basically susceptible to Parkinson's disease for you to also be susceptible to it, because this hits even closer to home for Packers fans, because we just found out midway through last year that Brett Favre has Parkinson's.
Yep.
And obviously the old gunslinger got hit a lot when he was in the backfield, when he was just hucking it down. But then it started to become, I don't know if it's something that we're seeing more now that's going to probably need to be studied in the future, but it's your brain's lack of making dopamine that technically causes Parkinson's, and the motor neurons not firing the same way that they used to. And it seems to be more prevalent now within football players, as we've seen in the last few years.
And I know people were all out on the concussion studies and trying to ruin the game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like, I just wonder how much we haven't even necessarily scraped the surface of the traumatic brain injury that can come from football. Because, and I think it's fair to point out that football hasn't been played as violently as it has been for as long as it has. Like, it's always been a violent sport, but players are getting bigger, faster, stronger every single year, which makes the head trauma that much more dangerous and that much more reoccurring for those reasons.
Yeah, it's scary. And I don't know. Do you have experience with people in your life?
I don't know. I actually don't think I know one person other than like obviously famous people that have had it that have suffered from Parkinson's. Obviously Michael J. Fox being the most famous one.
Yeah. So this, especially with the Packers thing, this hits a lot closer to home because one of my dad's best friends a few years ago got diagnosed with Parkinson's. Sure. And It's really sad because unfortunately for those who are close to Amon Green and for those who are close to people with Parkinson's, it's watching someone just very slowly just deteriorate at a rate that isn't really determined by them. It's like one of those, like, it's just going to keep marching kind of diseases that's really scary. And you start to notice it more and more as you talk to the person, and as time goes on, you see the tremors a lot more prevalently in certain places. My dad,
I didn't know the dopamine thing. That's good to know.
Yeah, my dad's friend Mark, you can see it in his hands now. And I mean, a year ago,
shout out to Mark,
it wasn't in his hands at all. And I mean, of course, all you can do is pray and hope and, think that there's maybe a study out there that someone's doing to try and cure this. But I'll be interested to see if this becomes the next thing that the NFL kind of sinks their teeth into and says, all right, we might need to start thinking about brain injuries beyond concussions and beyond CTE.
Well, and I think it's, I don't know if interesting is the right word, but I do think it's noteworthy that this comes, a week and a half after the Chris Johnson news too.
Yeah.
And the fact that they both played the same position, it does make the what needs to be studied and what needs to be talked about that much more interesting. We're going to talk about what's trending in the sports world, buying and selling on several different topics when we come back. If you missed this segment, check it out on our radio replay page at 1620thezone.com. Underneath the After Hours tab, is brought to you by Allo Fiber. It's clear there's no place like our great state of Nebraska. And just like so many of us, Allo calls Nebraska home with 2 gigs of internet going directly to your house. You don't have to share your internet service with anybody else in a node because you have an all fiber network directly to your home with Allo Fiber. If you want to get out of the Stone Age and upgrade your internet services tonight, check out allofiber.com/Husker Radio. Sign up for the official internet, TV, and mobile provider of the Huskers. We'll be right back. Buying or selling on 1620 Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for Recon Pest Control. I've had several people reach out to me. Jimmy, do you know anybody that can help with bug problems? Yeah, listen, Recon is the best in Omaha. How do I know that? They've done it in my house. We had a really bad problem with wasps. We had a really bad problem with spiders. They came out and sprayed for both. We had an old fence. They came out and inspected it for termites. If you want protection from all the creepy crawlies before it gets too cold outside, they start looking for somewhere to live, head over to reconpestservices.com. Make sure you tell them that After Hours sent you.
At Timber, they don't just give you a place to go for lunch or dinner. They give you an experience from their bold, smoky flavors prepared in the open concept kitchen where you get to watch the magic happen to the relaxing umbrella-shaded patio. There's something for everyone at Timber. Join them for brunch every Saturday and Sunday from 9:30 to 2, plus happy hour from 2 to 5:30 Monday through Saturday, and 2 to close on Sunday. Timberwood Fire Bistro in the heart of Omaha at 84th and Pacific.
Is your car making weird noises? Don't wait until a small issue turns into a big repair bill. Take it to Mad Hatter Auto Repair, where they take the madness out of auto repair. From oil changes and brakes to full diagnostics, their expert team gets you back on the road fast and without breaking the bank. Honest, reliable, local. That's the Mad Hatter difference. Follow the Little White Rabbit to 140th and West Center Road in Omaha or 34th and West Broadway in Council Bluffs. Mad Hatter Auto Repair, where your car gets treated right.
Kaylee and Courtney of Real Honest Tallow.
Somewhere along the way, skincare got complicated. We started Real Honest Tallow because we wanted better for our skin. Beautifully simple and made with ingredients we could actually feel good about using. We started with tallow and paired it with thoughtfully chosen skin-loving oils to create rich, luxurious skincare made for real everyday skin. We make it ourselves in small batches from Southwest Iowa. And if we wouldn't use it on ourselves and our own families, we wouldn't sell it to yours. That's the honest part. Simple ingredients, seriously good skincare, Real Honest Tallow.
Click realhonesttallow.com.
Top of the second hour here on 1620 The Zone. Jimmy Allen and Dan Campion with you. Just a reminder, the Plattsmouth football team, Curtis Larson, their head football coach, is going to join us at 7:30. We'll talk Blue Devils football. We just caught up with David McEnany, the head coach out at Millard West, and talk Millard West Wildcats football as well. You can check out all that on our radio replay page. It is time for Buy or Sell. Dan, what do we got?
Jimmy, I'm a bit confused.
That's your natural state.
It is indeed, but this is even more confused than I'm usually confused. The NCAA has suspended Tennessee linebacker Arian Carter for the first 2 games of the season. Carter is guilty of accepting a $427 from a flight from an agent to pursue the NFL draft. According to the NCAA, quote, NCAA rules are clear. Student athletes
are they? That's good to know.
Yeah. Student athletes may not sign with agents or pursue NFL draft opportunities, and this student athlete knowingly violated these longstanding rules. When student athletes violate NCAA rules, the school declares them ineligible and works with the national office to determine requirements for reinstatement, which can include repayment or withholding from competition, end quote. As a side note, the $427 was repaid in January after Arian Carter decided to surgically repair one of his feet that had been hurt during the season, an injury that he had played through. Buy or sell, Jimmy, that Carter is going to be available game 1 for the Vols.
I've never bought anything harder during this segment than I buy this. Rules don't matter anymore. The NCAA, the College Sports Commission, have zero grounds to stand on when it comes to anything. The Nebraska players that weren't going to get paid due to the clearance house issues earlier this year have all now been paid all of that money that they were due because nobody is holding up the rules. Nobody even understands what the rules are anymore. Does the College Sports Commission write the rules? Does the NCAA write the rules? Who actually has the teeth in this equation? Because it doesn't feel like the answer is really anybody at this point.
Yeah. So when I was reading this story about midway through today, I was like, so I know that this is technically against the NCAA rules, but are there rules in the NCAA about signing with an agent anymore? It feels like every high school player who's a top 100 recruit.
Yeah, because doesn't everybody have an agent? I think 0-star offensive linemen are probably hiring our agents at this point.
And also you can't sign an agent and pursue the draft. What else are they supposed to do after they believe that their playing career is done? This guy accepted a $427 flight to go work out for the NFL draft, decided not to go to the NFL draft, repaid the money, and he's still getting suspended for the first 2 games. I buy 100% that Arian Carter is going to be playing snap number 1 for the Tennessee Volunteers on the defensive side of the ball.
What else we got?
Tua has a bad back. Michael Penix has injured his knee. The solution for the Falcons? Let's hire Cooper Rush. Buy or sell, we see Baker Mayfield in Atlanta post 2026.
Oh, interesting concept. I sell because I don't think he would ever go somewhere in that division. That just doesn't seem like it's on his brand. He does kind of seem to bop around the NFC post Cleveland, though. It feels like they just really want Michael Penix to grab the brass ring, and he hasn't been able to yet. I think Atlanta's going to give him as much runway as they possibly can. So I'm going to sell.
I sell as well. I would also like to give Austin Jacobson his flowers because he's actually the one who inspired this question. Because I was like, they were talking about this yesterday. And I thought it was interesting because he was like, they don't really seem to know what they're doing in Atlanta. And
for many different reasons.
The signing of Cooper Rush definitely makes me think, yeah, they don't know what they're doing, because if I'm Atlanta right now, and I'm scanning the NFL and saying, Penix might not be able to go week 1. Tua's probably not going to be able to go at all this season if these back issues continue.
And his concussion problems and his inability to run.
As they have continued throughout his entire career with just simply the back issue, as we can underline his career. And you're not looking at, I don't know, a guy in San Francisco by the name of Mac Jones?
That honestly
who was able to perform extremely well.
That is more who I would go with over Baker, is because listen, 49ers are going to be good again this year. You're going to see Mac Jones in cleanup duty where he's going to look like an absolute world beater. I don't think he got a fair shake in New England. I think Mac Jones is going to be a starter next year in the NFL.
I think so as well. Moving on. There it is. NFL training camp is in full swing, of course, and we have already gotten our first reported fight. Bengals camp.
What took so long?
Well, apparently Jamar Chase is what took so long.
Aha.
Because that Bengals camp was disrupted by Jamar Chase and defensive veteran Jalen Davis going face mask to face mask after, of course, Jamar Chase caught a huge pass right in his face.
Of course.
Buy or sell. This is a bad omen for the Bengals season.
I sell. I love when this stuff happens. If you're not fired up and don't want to be competitive, I don't want you on my team. I'm never for guys fighting their own teammates, but I think there's healthy competition. And, this is actually what I think about when I hear the phrase iron sharpens iron. Because if you don't want to be the best, get off my team. And guys that want to be the best have this mentality about them. I don't think this is a bad omen at all.
Yeah, I thought this was weird. I mean, a lot of the ways that I've seen this story framed today have definitely framed it as, oh no, look at this. Look at this. Zach Taylor's Bengals. They're fighting. They're fighting on their first day of veterans reporting to training camp.
Those are guys that want Zach Taylor fired.
And with every story that I read, it sounded like it was a classic training camp dust up where it's boom, I caught a huge pass right in your face. Hey, you're trash. No, you're trash. Let's have a you're trash, I'm trash conversation, face mask to face mask.
Yeah.
And then a couple guys pull them apart, things cool down. And I'm sure right now, as we speak, they're probably dapping it up, sitting in the cold tub saying, man, practice was crazy today. That was wild. Can you believe that we have Jamar Chase on this team still, and he's so good at football? This is a big old nothing burger.
What else we got?
Speaking of heated days at training camp, Jets head man Aaron Glenn apparently blew up mid-practice today.
Welcome to New York, buddy.
Of all the bottom of the barrel teams of 25, Glenn is the only one who was retained. Buy or sell, AG will keep his job past this season.
Ooh, I don't think they're going to be very good. I buy, because I feel like they're going to give him just a little bit more runway, because they can't just keep firing coaches, because that's kind of what they're becoming known for at this point. I think Aaron Glenn will be the head coach of the Jets next year.
What worries me the most about them,
there's a long list,
is the fact that right now, as we speak on the 29th of July, their quarterback depth chart is Geno Smith, Cade Klubnik, Brady Cook, and everyone's favorite last name to say from the broadcast booth, Bailey Zappi. I just don't know what they're trying to do. And that's what worries me more.
That sums up the New York Jets franchise, my friend.
Because it is running back, wide receiver, and then an okay offensive line. I'm not going to be mad at Josh Myers at center.
I think more importantly, they went 3-14 last year.
They did.
And they finished 4th in the AFC East. And New England is going to be probably better than they were a year ago, but I still don't think they're going to have the success they did, but I think that team is going to be better. The one caveat that may help Aaron Glenn is we don't know what Miami's going to be. And if Miami finds a way to finish 4th in the AFC East, it may save his job. Well, we got to get to something or nothing on the other side of the break. If you missed this segment, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com tonight. It was brought to you by Railcar. It's not quite the weekend yet, but let us make your weekend plans for you. Out of the 144th and Blondo, Railcar American Kitchen is the premier brunch spot in the Omaha area. The chilaquiles, the breakfast nachos, my personal favorite thing on the menu. They also have primetime prime rib on Friday and Saturday nights. If you haven't had dinner plans for the weekend set for you, there's no better place than 144th and Blondo. Get out to Railcar and tell them that the after hours sent you for reverse happy hour from 5 to 10 o'clock at night. Check out Railcar American Kitchen tonight. Something or nothing. The other side of the break, 1620 Zone.
Weather from KETV Newswatch 7 is brought to you on 1620 The Zone by Certified Transmission.
Are you ready to put your business in the starting lineup? Whether you need eye-catching storefront signage, bold seasonal window graphics, or yard signs for your summer campaign, Signovation is your MVP. At Signovation, your brand shows up and wins. From lighting up the Omaha night sky with your logo, to making sure your message jumps out of the grass and grabs your ideal customer's attention, we've got you covered. Don't sit on the bench. Get in the game. Visit SignovationOmaha.com today.
I'm Omaha Athletic Director Adrian Dow, and I want to introduce you to 3 Omaha schools that are playing a vital role in keeping our community strong. We serve nearly 600 pre-K through 8th grade students, most of whom come from disadvantaged neighborhoods. These students receive a values-based education with the family support they need. I'm a proud member of the CUES Fund Board, which supports the CUES school system. To learn more, go to CUES Schools, that's CUES schools.org.
$7:21 on a Wednesday night, on a Wagyu Wednesday here on 1620 The Zone. I'm Jimmy Allen. That's Dan Campbell. It is time for something or nothing. There's a couple topics going around the sporting world where I'd like to get Dan Campbell's thoughts. I want to give my own as well. We haven't really talked much about the Kings' decision. LeBron is headed to Philly. He's the first guy to go from Bel Air to Philadelphia. There's a reference in there if you got it. Anyway, LeBron is heading to play for the 76ers, and Draymond Green took to his podcast, as he often does, and just said the reason that Draymond felt like LeBron chose Philadelphia over Golden State was because he didn't want to hear the backlash or the outcries of that he couldn't beat the Warriors, so he joined them. Dan, is that something or nothing in your opinion?
It's something in the sense that I think that he didn't want to join the Warriors for a much different reason, though. Steph Curry is getting a lot older.
Bingo.
Draymond Green just threw I believe, a 2-year contract worth a pretty penny, but it's only a 2-year, which means that
he's going to be there for 1.
The Golden State Warriors believe that Draymond Green is also getting very old. And there had already been quite a few jokes as Golden State became a maybe suitor that they would be called the Olden State Warriors next year. And I think
still can be.
I think that, kind of stuck in LeBron's craw a little bit more than anyone would have thought. And plus the optics of it just wouldn't have been great. Because I do agree that there would have been those critics who would have said, well, he only beat Golden State once, so we had to join Steph Curry and Draymond for 1 year.
See, I think this is nothing for a different reason. I think LeBron didn't want to go to Golden State because he knew they weren't going to win.
Oh.
And you know who's going to get blamed for it? LeBron. And it would have nothing to do with Golden State or excuse me, Steph Curry and Steph Curry and Draymond Green aging up or getting up to that. It would all been focused on LeBron because they had won championships without LeBron. Now, there's also the KD of it all. Listen, Kevin Durant showed up and they won championships out in Oakland, California. LeBron showed up and they couldn't even get out of the play-in games. The other thing is Philadelphia was the better choice. Like, I don't know if this is getting talked about enough because the 76ers, and rightfully so, had been crushed for the tanking aspect of it. But they were able to stockpile so many picks and so much talent. They were able to build the roster that they have now because of those seasons. And I hate saying that out loud, but I think they made, like, the discussion it needs to be had. Were the 76ers playing 3D chess while the rest of us were playing checkers? Because we trashed them, and now they have the team that they have. They have the picks that they have. They have the capital that they have. And they just got LeBron James on a veteran minimums deal.
Yeah. So that's where I don't really know if we can say
they're the odds-on favorite to win the championship next year. Yes,
of course they are.
Okay,
because they have LeBron and because
they have they have
their roster is well stacked with Embiid and Jaylen Brown and Tyrese Maxey and a couple other really solid bench pieces that I mean
those four alone. Throwing a fifth guy is probably the best starting 5 in basketball.
I will say if you're looking at the Sixers, probably have one of the deeper benches in all of basketball right now. And the fact that
doesn't that make you wonder if they knew LeBron was coming beforehand? This may have been a foregone conclusion.
I don't think it was a foregone conclusion because I do believe that Rich Paul and LeBron, especially Rich Paul, were probably weighing their options as much as they possibly could in trying to surmise what would be the best situation where LeBron can go and he can play and he doesn't have to technically be the focal point of an offense every night.
Nor should he be at this point in his career.
And that Jaylen Brown trade, I think, is what put that over the edge because if you have watched any NBA basketball over the last few years, Jaylen Brown was essentially able to lead the Boston Celtics into the playoffs without Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum came back and it became the Jason Tatum show again. And Jaylen Brown, all of that credit that people were giving him for how well he was playing, how well he was taking over this team, and how well he was stepping up into that leadership role and carrying the mantle, all of that just poof went away. And I think that of all of the offseason roster moves that we saw, the Jaylen Brown trade is what really made LeBron go, oh, they're not just planning for me being the next option. They're planning for what their future can be after me.
Joel Embiid is the highest paid player on that roster. That feel weird to you?
No.
Okay. Hey, we got to catch up with Curtis Larson, the Plattsmouth Blue Devils football team on the other side of the break. If you missed this segment, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com. Tonight it was brought to you by Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear. When you talk about Jerry Ryan, you talk about Premier brands, Mrs. Main, Johnny O, Peter Millar. Just talk about the premier suit buying experience in the Midwest. If you're about to get married this summer, maybe one of those weirdos getting married during football season on the weekend, A, don't do that. But B, if you have to, stop by Jerry Ryan Clothing at Sportswear. They're going to make sure you are the best dressed groom of the summer months or the winter months. Will allow you to do it, I guess. Stop by 78th Dodge. They've been dressing grooms in the Omaha area for over 50 years. We're talking Platts with Blue Devil football on the other side of the break. 1620 The Zone. Hey, everybody, it's Jimmy Allen here for our friends over at Allo Fiber. Have you noticed that when you hop on your internet, you start to see slower speeds at night, right when your neighbor Dave pulls into the parking lot or pulls into his driveway next to you? You know why that's probably happening? It's probably because you don't have an all-fiber network going directly to your home. 2 gigs of internet speed is what you get with Allo Fiber. You don't have to worry about your network slowing down because Dave down the street pulled into his driveway. You're not sharing your internet connection with anybody on a node. You have an all-fiber network directly to your home. Check out allofiber.com/Husker Radio. Get out of the Stone Age tonight.
The weather's warming up, meaning ants, wasps, and termites are teaming up to invade your home. It's time to call in a better team. At Recon Pest Services, we stop the bugs before they take over. But our commitment doesn't stop at your front door. We care for your property like it's our own because our community is our family. We're dedicated to making Omaha better by supporting local youth sports, events, and community causes. Partner with a pest control company that truly cares. Visit ReconPestServices.com today and stay protected all season long.
The real game changer in college athletics, it's coaches. And at Bellevue University, there is an experienced team of coaches who know you both as an athlete and as a person. Plus, there are student coach advisors who are there to provide individualized academic support every step of the way as you progress towards your degree. At Bellevue University, you're not just another athlete. You belong. We're for you and for college sports. Visit BUBruins.com.
Now back to After Hours with Jimmy Allen on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome back inside the After Hours Lounge on a Wednesday night here on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by Bellevue University. If you're looking for the ideal college experience this fall, head over to bellevue.edu, register for classes, become a Bruin. Tonight, one of our favorite interviews that we get to do every year is with the head football coach down at Platts with High School. It's Curtis Larson. He joins us here on the After Hours Lounge. Not an AI form in his true, natural, beautiful self. Coach, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having us.
You brought Kyler Nielsen and Levi Walker with you tonight. We'll get to those guys in just a minute. We talked to you before the season started a year ago. A below 500 season 2 years ago. You get back to the 500 mark a year ago, going 5-5, making the playoffs. What do you take from 2025 and make portable from a successful standpoint?
Yeah, I think a lot of our leadership pieces are coming back. A lot of our production is coming back from last year. A lot of the interior guys, all 5 offensive linemen are returning back from a year ago. And obviously in Class B, you play both ways. So those guys, you're going to depend on those guys in the trenches on the other side too. So we think that's going to bode well for us going on into this next season.
You referenced Class B, and it's pretty defined what happens in Class B. You run the football and you play defense. What is different about Class B in 2026, maybe than a couple of years ago?
Yeah, they moved towards this emerging district where three districts, there's 6 teams, and then one district, there's 5 teams, and they kind of tried to balance it out a little better and through the NSA, I should say.
Sure.
And
wow, let's throw them right under the bus. Those people.
NSA. And what they do is obviously look at the win-loss percentages and the 5 emerging teams. There's only one team that can qualify for the playoffs within that district. So it's a little different. What I did like by looking at everybody's schedule, not just our schedule, is I felt like they did a really good job of trying to balance not only with the emerging district, but try to balance all of it. So like your Gretna East, Waverly, who played in the Class B championship, they're playing each other in the regular season. Gretna East also has, Norris. And I think the NSA did do a good snapshot of these teams are really good teams. We're going to make them play in the regular season. Your average teams are going to play, with the average, your below average. So they try to balance it out that way, which I think will create a good sense of competition.
You and I have had private conversations about things like this, not necessarily this situation, but I think what one of the things that you do maybe better than some other folks is have the ability to look at through the lens of other people. I don't know if every football coach or every athletic director or coach of any sport has the ability to do that. Is it fair to say that this was a necessity in high school sports at this point, like the way that transfer portal has opened up and kind of the way school enrollment isn't exactly the same as it always used to be and things like that? In your eyes, was this kind of a necessity at this point?
Yeah, I think it does a good job of balancing out because, Plattsmouth, we're one of the smaller Class B schools. But in return, what we can grab from our hallways is a lot different from, Gretna East and Waverly, what they can grab from their hallways.
Absolutely.
And those communities are booming. So I think it was a good because it just allows teams to keep building, but at the same time, keep kids going out for football because that's a hard thing too.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're on the bottom end, you lose. It's hard to keep your program sustainable. So I think it does a good job of balancing everything out.
How do you guys feel about your numbers for the season?
Pretty good. There's some new faces that are going to try football out that, took a couple of years off. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about everybody that's coming back for this next season.
Let's talk about your team for a second. We talked about kind of the problems and the woes of the NSA and how to fix it. But last year, you guys finished the last 2 regular season games with 455 yards on the ground. You run the ball in Class B. It's what you have to do. Is it fair to say that's what's going to happen at Plattsmouth this year as well?
Yeah, I've done this now 5 years with you doing interviews.
Yeah,
and I feel like
feels like
it's
just
a broken record.
Yeah.
That's who we are. That's what we've been built on, and I'm not going to shy away from that. And teams are going to look at film. They're going to know what we do. And when you got 5 returning linemen and you have a special running back in Levi Walker, you're going to try to find ways to give him the football. And
he smiled when you said yes, by the way. Coach, what is this? Obviously, you guys are a month away from kickoff. What does this team have to get better at between now when you guys kick off week 1 of the season against Beatrice?
Well, every team has potential, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every team is going to go in August 10th with all the energy and with all
undefeated, baby.
Yeah, everybody's 0-0. So it's just about the little things, like tackling, communication, execution, all of those things, and taking that potential and turning it into production and executing. And that's what we're going to focus on for the 2 to 3 weeks that we have leading up to Beatrice. And, we're excited to get started.
You mentioned this is year 5, and we just had the Millard West crew in just a minute ago. And I asked this question of David McEnany because he's heading into his second season. Is there anything you know about being the head coach of Plattsmouth today that you didn't know maybe 5 years ago that you wish you would have? We only have half hour.
I would just say, what I didn't know was, the time it takes away, when you have a young family and all of those things, trying to balance all of those things is difficult. So, I would just say that family aspect and making sure, you get gun ho when you're 30 years old, taking over a football program. And, now 5 years down the road, you're like, that
back hurts a little bit.
It's going to be okay, but we're excited to get started.
Well, Coach, thanks for being here tonight. We'll go over to the players. Kyler Nielsen is with us tonight as well. I guess I'll allow you to be on my radio show. We'll talk about that later. You're a two-way football. You're a two-way football player. I'll go step up a little bit too. You're a two-way football player. You're a wrestler as well. Why is it? Coach kind of talked about it. Plattsmouth, you got to play two ways, but you're a multi-sport athlete as well. Why is it such a big deal, other than the ties to your father, to be a multi-sport athlete at Plattsmouth?
Yeah, it's just kind of the expectation. My dad and brothers, they always said it's just what we do. All my brothers were multi-sport guys, so yeah, just followed in their footsteps.
You're all over socials, man, promoting other guys, and just anytime somebody gets an offer, anytime somebody does a camp. Why is it a big deal for you to be able to help promote the guys around you and some guys that aren't even on your team?
Those are my guys. I love to see them succeed.
Sure.
And I know they work hard and they deserve it. So yeah.
As we mentioned, you play both ways for this team. In your eyes, which side of the ball needs to take a bigger jump heading into the start of the season, the offense or the defense, and why?
I would say defense. I think I've always been solid on offense, but I love playing defense.
When we talk about being able to be a multi-sport athlete, sometimes it's kind of hard to see the forest through the trees a little bit. You're a two-time state quarterfinal guy heading into your last season at Plattsmouth. Is it difficult for you to think about wrestling at all at this point? Is it all football? Is it a combination of both? How do you kind of deal with that situation?
I think I balance it pretty well. I mean, I haven't stopped wrestling since the state tournament.
Sure.
But I'm always thinking about football. So
what does life after high school look like for you?
I'm going up to Metro this year to weld. So I think
okay. Why welding?
I like it.
Sure. Awesome. Money. Did Coach give you any flack for wearing a wrestling shirt into the football interview at all tonight?
No, I'm always rocking wrestling.
Okay, there you go. His dad probably paid him to do it. Kyler, thanks for being here. Good luck this season. Levi, we'll go over to you. Levi Walker is with us tonight as well. I'm sure it sucks to hear your coach say, we got a pretty special running back. We got to give him the football, right? That's got to be terrible for you.
Yeah, that's horrible.
When we talk about this year, and obviously you're a multi-sport guy as well, baseball, football, you play hoops, 3.7 GPA, you got 24 on the ACT. I'm just going to pump your ego even a little bit more here. Hope you don't mind. Is there anything in high school you haven't done, whether it be from an academic standpoint, whether it be from an activity standpoint? Is there anything you want to make sure you do before your last year at Plattsmouth?
No, not really. Maybe join band or something.
There you go. You'll have something to do during halftime. Coach, we're going to have to borrow them from you. Good thing it doesn't fit into the game plan too well. When we talk about the state tournament appearance from a year ago, how does that help this team from a mentality standpoint in your eyes?
I think it just kind of proves to ourselves that it shows what we can do if we really put in effort and put in time, and it kind of just fuels the fire to what will lead this year.
We need to get some more football gear down at Plattsmouth because you came in wearing a baseball shirt as well. But you have the ability to be on 3 separate teams this year. Of those 3 teams, which one do you think is going to be the most improved heading into the season?
I think it'll probably be football, just because we have so many returning kids and a bunch of kids who just love playing football. And our senior leadership will definitely have an effect on that as well.
When you play at Plattsmouth and you know the tradition of running the football at Plattsmouth and you're kind of the guy in that position, what does it take mentally week in and week out to run between the tackles, know you're going to be hitting head on with linebackers, do that week in and week out when you know you're a focal point of the offense?
Well, kind of just like you said, you just got to know what you got to do, run between the tackles, and you're going to get hit hard. You just got to accept the fact that you're the guy. You got to accept the fact that you have to do the dirty work,
What's your favorite thing about being a multi-sport athlete at Plattsmouth?
All the free time I get.
Yeah, there you go. What does life after high school look like for you?
I'll definitely go to college and play a sport. Just undecided right now.
Of the 3, do you have a preference?
Football or baseball.
All right. Well, good luck, man, this fall, and good luck after high school as well. And we're catching up with Curtis Larson and the Plattsmouth Blue Devils football team here on After Hours. Coach, you can't help but notice that the whole town shows up for Plattsmouth football games whenever you guys are out there. Why is it so special for this community to have this outlet on Friday nights?
I just think Well, one, we're away from the metro enough to where it's got to be supported by the community,
Sure.
right? And so that makes it special, as well as there's so many graduates from Plattsmouth that stick around the Plattsmouth area. I meet multiple guys, everywhere in the community where, hey, I was part of the 1979, state runner-up team, and I'm rooting for you, coach. And so there's guys that stick around, there's families that stick around, and I think it just matters to those, community members. And really excited to put a product out there that they can be proud of. What we try to do our best to get into the community
Anybody
to
ever tell
support them as well.
Anybody ever tell you they're not rooting for you?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I'm sure.
It obviously takes a community to build a program like this. Who are some people behind the scenes at Plattsmouth that maybe deserve some credit? Make sure you name all of them that necessarily may not show up in a stat sheet or in a brochure.
Well, I got to start with our administration at Plattsmouth.
Yeah.
Between our new, no, she's not new, but she's her second year now. Our principal, Dr. Tina Harvey, Mr. Kevin Tilson. You know that guy?
Yeah, sure.
And our
congratulations on getting
director.
him off your staff, by the way.
Our activities director, Luke Chadwell. Those
Yeah.
are some of that do well. Michelle Quinn is our secretary in the office, and who we send rosters to all the time. And she's printing those out, and she's doing those types of things. All the people that sign up for, the admissions gate or sign up for concessions, those people probably don't get mentioned, but they're respected as well.
You guys still planning on starting your award-winning podcast that I've been waiting to hear? That's still coming to a podcast. near
We're
you?
working. We're working between Tim Winters, Chris Wiseman, Kevin Tilson, and I. We're working on that.
That is the head football coach down at Plattsmouth. If you've missed any of the Blue Devils segment, want to hear what Curtis Larson had to say about his upcoming season, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com. Tonight is brought to you by Mad Hatter Auto Repair. 7 years or 77,000 miles. That's the warranty you're going to get on your vehicle, so you can trust the work that's being done off 144th and Center over in Council Bluffs off Broadway. Get the real treatment for your vehicle tonight. Step out Mad Hatter Auto Repair, one of their 2 great locations, and make sure you tell them that After Hours sent you. We're going to give you our closing arguments, wrap up the show on the other side of the break. 1620 The Zone.
The weather's warming up, meaning ants, wasps, and termites are teaming up to invade your home. It's time to call in a better team. At Recon Pest Services, we stop the bugs before they take over. But our commitment doesn't stop at your front door. We care for your property like it's our own, because our community is our family. We're dedicated to making Omaha better by supporting local youth sports, events, and community causes. Partner with a pest control company that truly cares. Visit reconpestservices.com today and stay protected all season long.
The Lindley Clothing Summer Sale is winding down. Get an additional 20% off already reduced summer wear. That takes final cost to 80% off on many items. Plus buy one, get one on selected suits. Lindley Clothing, 132nd, just north of Dodge. Hurry in.
Closing her down on a Wednesday night here at 1620 The Zone. Big shout out to our friends from Millard West and Plattsmouth, the football teams respectively, came in tonight to talk about their upcoming seasons and give us a little preview of what's coming down the pipe this fall. I know we haven't had any softball or volleyball teams in the last couple of weeks. We're going to work on that and hopefully get some of the ladies teams rolling into the studio here over the next couple of weeks as well. We're going to have Matt Storm and the Omaha Bryan Bears football team in tomorrow night as well. Just a little preview of what we're doing tomorrow night because I haven't told Dan that yet because Coach Storm literally just told me a minute ago that they're going to be coming in. So, but it is time for a closing argument. So we're going to give you one last hot take before we walk out on the night and shut the show down for the evening. Dan, what do you got?
I'm going to touch on something that I know that we wouldn't touch on regularly within the show.
Sure.
And if you will allow me just a little bit of runway, I'm going to tiptoe around the topic that you don't like to talk about.
Okay.
But I'm not going to go too far.
All right.
Promise. Just let them play basketball. This is a basketball league. The WNBA does not have a Caitlin Clark problem, does not have a Sophie Cunningham problem. It has they don't know how to handle controversy at this level problem. This requires a lot of things to happen in conjunction that are not going to happen. And it makes me sad. It worries me a lot for the future of the league because we can't, first off, allow the players to shy away from speaking their voices and speaking their mind. They're human beings. They have their own opinions and they have their own views, values, and beliefs.
I want to be very clear. I don't like talking about politics, not women's rights. So I just don't want anybody to get confused by that.
Yes,
Go ahead, Dan.
it is politics, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm skirting around.
Yeah, nope, I get it.
What Sophie Cunningham said is Sophie Cunningham's opinion. And there are going to be people who don't have that opinion, and there are going to be people who do have that opinion. What you can't do is you can't shy away from allowing them to speak to the media after a game and after the situation that happened last night.
Yep.
Google is free. You can find out what that situation was. But you also can't be a reporter for the WNBA. And this is in reference to one person who has been making waves on Twitter right now. I'm not going to shout her out specifically by name. But you can't be a reporter for the WNBA and find out that Caitlin Clark is not going to be available at the press conference post-game for any non-basketball questions. When you frame it and you put up your notes app and you say, this was the question I was going to ask Caitlin Clark, that is very specifically a non-basketball question. Caitlin Clark has made her stance on a lot of things very clear. She does not like the people who are using her name for any negative benefit towards her, towards this league, in service of othering or hurting any other person. That's it. The question has been asked and it has been answered. It's time for the WNBA, its fans, and the culture at large to remember and to realize these are women at a very high professional level who are playing a sport. You do not go around and ask Josh Allen, for example, hey, Josh, You ran for this many yards, you scored this many touchdowns, you threw for this many yards. But how do you feel about Palestine? When they are,
I mean, it hasn't happened yet.
when they are elicited and asked of an opinion, they will give an opinion.
Yeah.
And that is where that should end. They can address that opinion further if they would like to, but after a basketball game, you should be asking them about the basketball game.
I'm going to go on another limb and say I don't think you should be asking about anything else ever.
Correct.
I don't. You know what? You know what, Dan? Much like I don't care about who's dating who in the sphere, I don't care. I don't care what Josh Allen's opinion is on Palestine. I don't care what anybody's like outside. And I think what Sophie and I think it's okay to talk about. She said she didn't want trans women in the WNBA. I appreciate you trying to duck around it and not talk about the political side of things, but it's her opinion. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it wrong, but it's just her opinion. And I think about any rule in sports, whether it has to do with transgender athletes or the union, or whether or not they should be able to review pass interference, whether or not they should be able to review double dribbles, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I think we should take the player's opinion in it more than anybody else's. With that being said, like, what would you rather her do? Lie to you and not give you her honest opinion? And that's where cancel culture honestly bothers me. Like, are there some people that deserve to be canceled? Absolutely. But we're so quick to do it that there's such value in people showing you who they are and their opinions, right, wrong, good, or bad, that I think we lose the value in that because we want to be involved so much in the discussion and make sure that our voice is heard. And that's kind of a social media thing. But you said a lot there. I want to unpack the first part of what you talked about the Caitlin Clark and the Sophie Cunningham part of it. Like, I wonder if the real problem is the WNBA is struggling with managing success.
Yes, a little bit. It's not out of the realm.
Which is totally fair because they haven't had it at this level. They haven't had the eyes on the product, and you can credit whoever you want with it. I don't care. I do think the sport is as at an all-time high for several different reasons for several different players. But I also, it would be surprising for a lot of reasons that they were able to manage the success that they've had because they've never necessarily been able to have the success that they've had. Not that they've never been able to manage it, but I truly wonder that if it's not more of a we're learning to build this plane while we're flying it situation more than it is one person. That's going to do us here for the After Hours Lounge tonight. If you missed any of it, check it out on our radio replay page on 1620thezone.com tonight. It was brought to you by our friend that you heard tonight, Bob Williams of Williams Law. If you or your son or your daughter is facing litigation because, listen, it's hot outside, it's summertime, kids aren't in school, maybe you need to make sure that you have some questions answered before your son or daughter is facing time in front of a judge. Head over to WilliamsLawLLC.com. Get a free, no obligation legal consultation from Bob and his team. You heard him give legal advice tonight. He can give you legal advice like that at no cost for the first legal consultation that they're going to give you. Head over to Williams Law and get a free, no obligation legal consultation tonight. For Dan Campen and I've been Jimmy Allen. Happy National Chicken Wing Day, everybody.
I like it. Don't eat too many of them.
Wedding season's here, and Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear has been trusted for over 50 years to help you look your best. Whether you're the groom or part of the wedding party, Jerry Ryan can outfit every man in the wedding from head to toe. From custom suits and sport coats to dress shirts, shoes, and accessories, their experienced team will help make sure everyone looks their absolute best on the big day. Visit Jerry Ryan Clothing and Sportswear at 78th and Dodge today, where Omaha's best dressed men have shopped for over 50 years.
Are you ready for the game changer of the day? Bellevue University has a new state-of-the-art 72,000 square foot field house featuring premium courts, generous fan seating, top-tier locker rooms, dedicated athletic training, and a strength and conditioning space, plus a whole lot more. It's not just a venue, it's a home court advantage. We're for you and for college sports. Visit BUBruins.com.
If you're looking for an authentic Italian experience, look no further than Pasta Amore. For 4 decades, Pasta Amore has been keeping the spark alive for couples in the Omaha area with their homemade pasta, made fresh every day. Our hand-picked selection of exceptional wines will put the nightcap on your evening that you expect. Open every day at 4. Stop by Pasta Amore in Rockbrook Village and enjoy dining in the romantic dining room or relax on our shaded patio.
Great food, live music, cold drinks, and a night out that makes a difference. Join Child Saving Institute for Culinary Remix 90s Edition on Friday, August 21st from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Mid-America Center. Throw on your favorite 90s inspired style and celebrate community while supporting local children and families. Tickets are just $75. Learn more and purchase yours today at childsaving.org/culinary remix.
As the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues honoring America's heroes, it has created veterans villages that stand as a beacon of hope for those who sacrificed for our nation. These communities are committed to helping veterans achieve stability and independence by providing safe housing and personalized services tailored to their needs. Within each village, residents find support, dignity, and a sense of belonging among others who understand the meaning of service and sacrifice. With multiple veterans villages completed and more in development across the country, Tunnel to Towers and its supporters believe no veteran should ever be left behind. Through the Homeless Veteran Program, Veterans Villages, and the National Case Management Network, the foundation is working to eradicate veteran homelessness in the U.S. It has already provided housing and supportive services to more than 17,000 veterans nationwide. Join us in the mission to do good and never forget America's heroes by visiting T2T.org to learn more and find Tunnel to Towers events near you.
KOZN Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. This is 1620, The Zone.